You think you know everything because you wear a suit and control a room? I know the kind of world you're wrapped up in. You're not invincible. The silence fell, thick and tangible, pressing against them like the weight of an impending storm. Io met her gaze, his eyes dark pools of uncertainty. I'm not trying to be invincible. I'm trying to protect you. Protect me? By dragging me into your criminal empire? She scoffed, the laughter in her voice laced with bitterness. You want me to feel safe in a world where people are hunting you, hunting us? A chilling breeze from the cracked window ambushed them, rustling the curtains, and they both shivered. Io leaned against the counter, his posture shifting from defiance to something softer, more vulnerable. I'd sacrifice everything for your safety, Khalilah. You have to believe that. Everything? Really? She challenged, taking a step closer, her heart racing at his admission. She felt the flicker of a connection passion wrapped up in stormy jealousy and the thrill of danger. What would you give up? Your reputation, your power, or me? The question hung heavy, both daring and unthinkable. Io's face tightened, a storm passing beneath his skin. You think this is easy? You think my world doesn't swallow the good along with the bad? Wanting you means stepping into shadows I never wanted to revisit. Then maybe I don't need to be a part of your shadows, she shot back, her voice shaking with the weight of her own desires that dared to reject the harsh light of reality. Their arguments volleyed back and forth, the lines between love and disdain blurred, each revelation pushing them deeper into a chasm of unacknowledged feelings. Io, hands gripping the counter, let out a low chuckle laced with bitterness. And you think running away will make it better? Just tell me what you want, Khalilah. You want clean breaks, or one last messy fling before the world tells us to go our separate ways? Messy can be fun, she mused, a teasing smile breaking through her, but have you seen my life? It's already a dumpster fire. Then let me be your arsonist. His voice dropped, the intensity shifting as he stepped forward, closing the distance between them. We could burn this whole world down together if we really wanted to. At what cost? The softness of her question cut through the anger like a well-aimed arrow. Io exhaled through his teeth, his intensity melting into something more profound. I'd face the flames if it meant keeping you safe, Khalilah, even if it means losing everything else. Her defensive armor wavered, the sincerity almost tangible in the air around them. Khalilah took a deep breath, the scent of coffee washing over her like a warm embrace. You don't have to bear it all alone. I'm not afraid of the fire. Although a little coffee never hurt, she added, cracking a smile. Coffee can be our secret weapon, he replied, sliding a mug toward her. Their eyes locked, vulnerability deepening into something electric, simmering below the surface. In the tangled web of their lives, amidst the chaos of emotions and impending danger, it was the small moments like sharing coffee that ignited the flames of connection once more, weaving together the fragility of their shared truths. Khalilah raised her cup, lips curving into a tentative smile. To messy lives and unbreakable bonds, and to strange alliances, Io finished with a grin, the fire of their connection reigniting amidst the ghosts of the past, flickering hope illuminating the shadows. Scene 22, Public Relations. The midday sun bathed the bustling city square in golden light, illuminating the vibrant street life, street vendors hawking aromatic street food, children chasing pigeons with laughter like wind chimes in the breeze. Khalilah stood at the edge of the crowd, inhaling the scent of greasy tacos mixed with a hint of blooming jasmine from nearby trees. The whirlwind of life around her pulsed with an energy that momentarily ignited a flash of inspiration within. She rubbed her temples, trying to cultivate a vision that aligned her newfound media attention with her desire to advocate for crime victims. You okay? Io asked, his voice slicing through her thoughts like a crisp knife. He stood beside her, tall and imposing, his presence radiating comfort even against the chaos surrounding them. His eyes, a deep and knowing midnight, flicked over her face, searching for signs of worry. Khalilah turned to him, the connection between them undeniable. I want to do something meaningful. There are so many stories out there that deserve to be heard. Her fingers fidgeted with the hem of her jacket, but she caught herself and let her hands drop, mirroring her determination to rise above the anxiety pooling in her chest. Ayo's jaw clenched, his expression darkening for a moment. "You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders alone," he murmured, his voice low, gravelly. She caught a flicker of something deeper in his gaze, a concern that carried shadows of burdens he chose not to disclose. Their eyes lingered, each heartbeat filled with unspoken thoughts swirling in the air between them. It was strange how something so profound could exist alongside lighter moments, as if laughter and sadness were dance partners at an elegant ball. "Maybe I should hold a fundraiser," she said, suddenly animated as an idea sprouted. "Get the community involved in helping crime victims, give them a voice." "Count me in," Ayo answered, his tone teasing as he ruffled her hair playfully, earning him a playful swat on the shoulder from her. "You really think they'll listen to the crime boss's girlfriend?" She mock-gasped, her eyes alight with mischief. "Crime boss? You mean my crime boss? Please, I'd be lucky if my exclusive press release doesn't end up in the wrong hands, turning this into a national scandal. Just remember, if they come after you, I'm here," he said with a wink, that signature smirk of his curling the corners of his lips, even as his eyes dropped momentarily to the ground. It was a rare admission from him, an honest acknowledgement threaded with the fire of protection in his voice. Khalilah's smile faded slightly as she reconsidered the weight of his words. "Are we really doing this? Part of me feels like I'm just dangling a carrot for trouble," she replied, her voice dipping into sincerity. "Let them come," Ayo declared, his tone sharpening with resolve. "You're not just advocating, you're igniting a movement, and I'll make sure the people who put their lives on the line for this, those who need your voice, are protected." She glanced at him, the trust swelling between them like a song, melodic and potent. "You're serious. We're not just talking about the crime victims. We're talking about you too. This isn't just about your world, is it? You want to change it." "That's the plan," he said, his smile fading into something introspective, a flicker of vulnerability slipping through the cracks of his bravado. He shifted slightly, pulling something from his pocket, a small note. "I've got connections, people you can talk to about this." Her heart raced, an overwhelming gratitude filling the space left by earlier insecurities. "You believe in me," she said softly, her voice trembling with disbelief and hope. "Believe? No, Khalilah. I'm counting on you," Ayo replied with surprising intensity, stepping closer until the space between them seemed to hum with energy. His breath brushed against her skin, inviting yet charged with an urgency that sent shivers down her spine. She could see the weight of their shared ambitions reflected in his eyes, each looking back at the other under the heavy cloak of expectation. "Okay then," she declared, her voice firming as determination washed over her. "Let's get started." A small grin creased Ayo's lips, one that said he'd follow her anywhere. "Now that's the spirit. Just remember, I'll be right beside you, even if my bad boy image gets a bit of a facelift." Khalilah rolled her eyes but couldn't suppress her laughter. "Right. We'll just bill you as charming ex-crime boss, seriously casing the town. I can already picture the press headlines." With a shared chuckle, they turned toward the crowd, energized for the fight ahead. It was a partnership launched in chaos and trust, a heady blend of ambition wrapped in the warmth of blossoming affinity. The road would be bumpy, but for the first time, Khalilah felt she wasn't walking it alone. Scene 23. Emotional barriers. Rain pattered softly against the window of Ayo's penthouse, a melodic rhythm that contrasted starkly with the storm brewing in the room. Khalilah stood near the sprawling glass, a silhouette against the tumultuous sky, her heart racing as the thunder echoed the turmoil within. All around her, the atmosphere crackled, a charged air filled with unspoken words and unresolved tensions. "Ayo, we need to talk," she said, her voice steady despite the tremor she felt deep within. She turned, facing him, her eyes searching his for the warmth he often kept at bay. "Talk?" Ayo replied, a smirk twitching at the corners of his mouth, but a shadow flickered in his eyes. "Is that what we're calling this? Because it feels more like a thunderclap waiting to happen." He crossed his arms over his chiseled chest, a fortress built from years of guarding his heart. The rain intensified, and Khalilah drew in a breath, her chest tightening as she hesitated. "You know we can't keep avoiding this." Her words came out with a mixture of urgency and frustration. I'm not just some pawn in your game. I have feelings too, and I need you to recognize that. Ayo stepped forward, the intensity in his gaze deepening. Feelings? You think you're the only one caught in this storm? I'm trying to protect you, Khalilah. He gestured toward the city outside, where the raindrops blurred the skyline, a reflection of his own chaotic world. This isn't just about us. People are involved, dangerous people. This isn't a simple choice of vulnerability. This is about survival. Khalilah's heart thudded painfully against her ribs. Survival or control? Her voice was sharp, filled with a fierce clarity that caught Ayo off guard. You're making decisions for me, and I won't allow that. Decisions? Ayo scoffed, his voice low and velvet-like, but there burned a fierce fire in his gaze. I didn't choose this life, Khalilah. This was thrust upon me. Don't mistake my protection for control. I don't care about your past, Khalilah shouted, the words bursting from her in a raw flood of emotion. Stop hiding behind all these walls. I want to know the man beneath the crime boss, beneath the bravado. She took a step closer, their proximity now charged with palpable tension. But what if you find something you don't like? Ayo's tone shifted, vulnerability threading through his commanding presence. What if the truth shatters this illusion you've created about me? Khalilah inhaled sharply, resolve faltering as her defenses crumbled. I'm not perfect either, Ayo. I'm just trying to not drown in my own insecurities. Her voice softened, becoming the fragile whisper of a raw wound. Every time I think I'm safe, I remember who I am and what I'm up against. It petrifies me. A flicker of understanding crossed Ayo's face, and he stepped closer. The rain drummed on the glass like thousands of tiny hearts beating in sync. And what if I said, I see you? His voice was barely above a whisper, charged with an emotion that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. I see every beautiful, broken part of you. Tension crackled between them like the air before lightning struck. Khalilah's gaze held his, searching for honesty amid the fog of anger and fear. What do you really want, Ayo? Her skepticism now tinged with a desperate hopefulness. I want to protect you, he admitted, each word measured, heavy with meaning. But you need to let me in, Khalilah. I can't save you from the ghosts of your past if you don't face them with me. The storm outside paled in comparison to the tempest raging inside her. You're right, she finally said, her voice laced with resolve, something fresh blooming in her heart. I need to stop fighting you and let myself feel. Khalilah stepped closer, the slight tremor in her hands revealing the conflict within. Ayo mirrored her movement, his intensity both alluring and protective. In that moment, the air shifted, the weight of all that had been unsaid hung between them, ripe for the taking. Finally, she broke the distance that had felt like miles. Then let's face it together, she whispered fiercely, a challenge wrapped in vulnerability. Let's fight for us, together. As the first bolt of lightning illuminated the room, the promise of a storm, they both knew the road ahead would be tumultuous, paved with both fear and possibility. What lay before them was uncertain, but for the first time, they were willing to walk through the chaos side by side. Scene 24. Stolen Moments. The sun dipped low, painting the dimly lit alley behind the vibrant art gallery in hues of amber and crimson, a stark contrast to the polished marble floor of the gallery's entrance. The air was alive with the scent of freshly popped popcorn and the faint sweetness of vanilla lingering from a nearby cafe. Khalilah stood by the walled-off patio where a soft breeze mingled with the fragrance of blooming jasmine, her brow furrowed as she scanned the narrow corridor leading to the main exhibit. Ayo approached from the shadows, his tall frame framed asymmetrically by the golden light spilling from the gallery's doorway. You disappeared, he said, his voice smooth yet edged with concern, his eyes studying her intently. Khalilah turned abruptly, her heart racing. I was just looking around, she replied, a hint of defensiveness creeping into her tone as she crossed her arms over her fitted blouse, a protective barrier, though her skin tingled under his gaze. Looking around? Or avoiding me? Ayo stepped closer, his presence warm, grounded, almost reverent, yet there was an undercurrent of tension swirling between them, like the breeze that rustled through the nearby trees. Khalilah's breath hitched as she gestured vaguely to the sidewalk filled with mingling guests. This isn't exactly a private space, and I can't just abandon my work for whatever this is. Her words dripped with uncertainty, each syllable battling against her pulsing desire to yield to him completely. This? Ayo's brow lifted, his lips curving into a teasing smirk that sent a flicker of irritation through her. You think this is just some ordinary flirtation? Khalilah, I'm not here to play games. His tone shifted, softening, yet assertive, and created a charged silence between them. Right, she scoffed lightly, the noise vegetable but a defense mechanism, skirting the sea of vulnerability rising within her. You're not just a what? He demanded, his voice low. Not just a crime boss, a manipulator, an opportunist. Khalilah froze at the word manipulator. The silence stretched, taut as a bowstring, punctuated only by distant laughter from the gallery's interior. She stepped back, shaking her head. You know that's not what I meant. Ayo clenched his jaw, his stoic facade cracking just a hint as he pushed back the frustration bubbling within him. Then what do you mean, Khalilah? You think this is easy for me? The flurries of emotions ricocheted between them, fierce and unyielding. You could just tell me, she whispered, her voice a fragile thread in the thick tension, about what this really is. Ayo took a step closer, the warmth of his body now almost tangible, grounding her swirling thoughts. I want to protect you, but you need to understand the danger I bring, he replied, each word deliberate, layered with intensity. But this, he gestured between them, isn't dispassionate, not for me, and not for you either. Their eyes locked, a powerful current thrumming through the air. Khalilah felt the walls she had built around her heart begin to falter under the weight of his gaze. And if I want to embrace this, she asked, daring to hope, daring to break down the very reservations that had kept her distant for so long. You'd better be ready to face the fallout, he said quietly, the seriousness in his voice almost counterbalancing the warmth of his presence, leaving her vulnerable, yet exhilarated. A shimmering silence enveloped them. The world faded, the sounds of laughter distant echoes, until Khalilah couldn't hear anything but the rapid beat of her heart. I'm tired of being cautious, she admitted, breathless, tired of living in fear of everything. Then let's forget everyone else for just a moment, Ayo proposed with a playful glint in his eyes, as if inviting her into a secret world only they knew. Stepping closer, he brushed a stray curl behind her ear, the ghost of his fingers igniting something profound within her. Khalilah's pulse quickened, a slow smile creeping to her lips despite the lingering tension. And what if someone catches us? She teased, though the challenge sparked a fire of excitement. I won't let them, he promised, his voice deepening with a seductive urgency. Let's make every second count. And in that stolen moment, amidst the backdrop of evening shadows and the pulsating energy of a world oblivious to their unfolding, they moved closer, the promise of something undeniably thrilling lingering in the air between them, binding them in a way that felt perfectly, irrevocably real. Scene 25. The truth hurts. The city pulsed outside like a living heart, but inside Ayo's penthouse, the world felt muted. Khalilah stood in the kitchen, her fingers nervously tracing the rim of a frosted glass filled with deep burgundy wine. The rich aroma of braised lamb wafted from the stove, mingling with the undertones of fresh herbs, a feast Ayo had prepared, an invitation wrapped in tender care. But tonight, the delightful scents felt insipid compared to the whirlwind brewing within her. Ayo leaned against the counter, arms folded, his dark brow furrowed, an uncharacteristic shift from his usually relaxed demeanor. The light from the city cast a golden hue over his features, making him appear both rugged and ethereal. Khalilah stepped closer, her heart racing. You know, she began, her voice steady yet soft, this lamb is amazing, seriously. If I needed to sell my soul for some culinary secrets, you'd be the first on my list. A wry smile flickered across Ayo's lips, but the tension remained. You say that now. Wait until the price for my recipes comes due. He took a sip from his own glass, hiding the vulnerability behind playful bravado. The moment hung heavy between them. Khalilah's heartbeat quickened. She clasped her hands together, the silence stretching like taut strings ready to snap. Ayo, can we talk about us? He straightened, the lightheartedness dissipating like smoke in the air. What about us? Khalilah took a deep breath, her thoughts racing. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and in all this chaos, I keep asking myself, what do I really want? And it always comes back to you. Her eyes locked onto his, Fear-searching. Ayo's gaze turned intense, the atmosphere shifting as if a storm was brewing. Khalilah, I'm not what you think I am. I don't want to ruin your life. He lowered his voice, the weight of his words pulling her in like gravity. I'm tangled in things you can't even imagine. Maybe so, but we all have our ghosts. Khalilah took an impulsive step closer, the space between them crackling with unspoken words. I know you have shadows, Ayo, and I want to understand. But right now, I feel so drawn to you. Her sincerity lay bare, vulnerable and aching. You don't mean that. He shook his head, frustration etched into every line of his posture. The vulnerability flickering in his eyes mirrored her own. Do I not? She pressed, arms crossing defiantly. How can you say that when I feel like your light is breaking through all my barriers? I have had it. She cut herself off, grappling with both her anger and desire. I've had it with pretending we're just friends. That's exactly where we need to stay. I can't. Ayo's face shifted, his emotions flirting with the edge of anger. It's safer for you. Safer for me? Khalilah's voice rose, the kitchen feeling suddenly small. What about what I want? I'm tired of living inside a box of your making. What if I want to love a man with darkness in his past? Darkness? My life isn't just dark. It's dangerous, Khalilah. His own frustration climbed, elbows planted firmly on the countertop, fingers curling into frustrated fists. Each word hung between them like a blade. People survive danger every day. Khalilah stepped back, trying to collect her thoughts through the emotional whirlwind. You think I can't handle your life? I've been managing chaos my entire life. The question is, are you willing to let me in? His eyes locked onto hers, unyielding yet searching. For a fleeting moment, she saw the man behind the labyrinth of shadows. He exhaled deeply, the warmth ebbing in his expression. It's not about you, Khalilah. It's about me. You deserve. What? A safe, uneventful existence? She interrupted, the crackle in her voice fading to an earnest whisper. I don't want to tiptoe through life. I want to live, with all the colors, dark and bright, and I want to live it with you. Ayo's jaw clenched, the air between them thick with unexpressed emotions. You don't understand what I could lose, and you don't understand what you could gain. Khalilah stepped forward, her heart racing against the resonance of his hesitation. These feelings won't just vanish. I am here, Ayo. I am not going anywhere, even if you try to push me away. The tension crackled like a broken radio. Ayo stepped closer, his breath mingling with hers, an electric current of raw desire and unfathomable stakes. And if you get hurt, if it all falls apart, love conquers all, right? Khalilah's voice softened, the challenge simmering beneath tenderness. But only if we're brave enough to claim it. That pregnant pause lingered, teetering on the edge of possibility and peril. Ayo's face softened, and a spark illuminated the turmoil in his stormy eyes. Then, it's time for honesty. Always, she whispered. And as the world outside carried on, the two of them stood motionless, yet teetering on the verge of an unfathomable precipice. Scene 26, the calm before the storm. The warm glow of the afternoon sun poured through the large bay windows of Ayo's penthouse, casting intricate patterns of light and shadow across the sleek marble floor. Khalilah leaned against the counter of his high-end kitchen, a gentle breeze drifting in from the open terrace, carrying with it the fragrant scent of blooming hibiscus. Her fingers absent-mindedly toyed with the edge of the polished granite. Do you ever think about the future, Ayo? Khalilah asked, leaning slightly closer. Her voice had dropped to a whisper, almost lost amidst the soft clinking of glassware. Like, really think about it? Ayo paused his activity, his back to her, his strong shoulders tensing for just a moment. He turned, the murky depths of his gaze settling on her. Thinking seems risky these days. It leads to questions I'm not prepared to answer. Khalilah laughed softly, but the humor didn't quite reach her eyes. Or it could lead to hope, Ayo. Hope is something. Hope? What a luxurious idea, Ayo replied, crossing his arms. He was trying to cage the tumult of emotions swirling within him. You sound like you came from a leadership book, Mrs. Raye. Is that your way of calling me naive? She stepped closer, playful defiance shining in her dark brown eyes, flecks of gold dancing in the sunlight. Because if it is, I prefer optimist over naive any day. Then let's go with optimist. But let me tell you, keeping your head in the clouds will lead to a hard fall once reality strikes. His tone softened as he added, I don't want you to get hurt. Khalilah's expression shifted. And yet here I am, in your world, so close to the danger you're trying to protect me from. She hesitated, searching his features for any sign of the man she wanted to know, the man behind the facade. Do you feel anything for me, Ayo? Or am I just a tool in your plans? His brow furrowed, and a flash of vulnerability crossed his expression before he masked it again behind an impenetrable facade. Nothing is simple in this life, Khalilah. I'm not just a good guy in a bad world. Just look at who I am. Who you are doesn't negate how I feel about you. I see you. Her words hung in the air, filled with a mix of challenge and sincerity. And I sense something deep, something real that you are scared to acknowledge. With a sudden intensity, Ayo stepped closer, their proximity igniting an electric tension. I feel everything, Khalilah. And that's the issue. I'm not safe. He searched her eyes for understanding, a protective sorrow breaking through his bravado. You should know what you're dancing with, or they'll swallow you whole. A playful scoff escaped her lips, and she shook her head, feigning exasperation. You make it sound like I can't handle a few shadows. You've clearly underestimated my audacity. Her defiance flirted with danger, her fingers brushing against his forearm, just above the tattoo that peeked from under his shirt sleeve. Audacity is far too generous a word for ignoring obvious danger. Ayo scoffed and smiled faintly, yet the tension clung to them like smoke. Khalilah stepped back, mocking him with a dramatic gesture of both hands. Fine, let's stop pretending here. I'm just your little security blanket in this ruthless game you've created, because nothing says love like being used for information. The air shifted sharply. She could feel it. His expression hardened, but she wouldn't back down. Why don't you just tell me what it is you're planning, huh? Why don't you trust me? Trust isn't handed out like pamphlets, Khalilah. Ayo thundered, the intensity of his voice echoing through the room, especially when you don't even trust what you feel. The playful tone had flickered out, replaced with raw honesty. Yet, he held a ferocity that hinted at something deeper, almost protective. But I do trust my feelings for you, she exclaimed, her voice tinged with exasperation. I want to believe in what we're building, Ayo, even when it's terrifying. His eyes softened in the briefest of moments. Then believe in us, not the shadows. The tension twisted and tightened around them, a palpable force. Khalilah stepped forward again, her hand finding his cheek, her touch soft yet resolute. Their eyes locked, and the world became nothing but a breath between them. I want to be with you, she confessed softly, grounding the intensity of their argument in something true, something binding, even if that means entering the storm. Then hold on tight, Khalilah, Ayo murmured, closing the distance, their breaths mingling, because the storm is just about to break. And in that moment, the light dimmed as dark clouds gathered, overshadowing the warmth of their newfound hope. Scene 27, a heartfelt promise. The weight of the night pressed heavily on the air, swirling with a tension that hummed between Ayo and Khalilah, palpable and electric. The moon bathed the rooftop in a silvery glow, casting elongated shadows of the pair standing at the edge, overlooking the sleeping city. The metropolis, brimming with life and secrets, felt like a world utterly removed from their current plight. Ayo's jaw clenched, his muscles taut, as he stared out into the expanse, the city lights reflecting the resolve in his eyes. Khalilah shifted beside him, the air thick with unsaid words. She could feel the warmth radiating from his presence, an undeniable magnetism that stirred something within her, an intensifying longing and a flicker of fear. Why do you look like you're ready to fight an army? She teased, her voice light but laced with sincerity. A small smirk broke through his stoic demeanor as he turned to her, his dark eyes softening. I'd rather fight for you. The sincerity hung in the air, heavy as lead. Khalilah shifted her weight, biting her tongue. She wanted to match his intensity with a teasing reply, but the depth of his gaze grounded her instead. Ayo, you're not just a man with connections. You're a force of nature. With that comes danger. Danger is just another term for opportunity, he replied, taking a step closer, the distance between them fading like the last remnants of daylight. What matters is that I will protect you. Her breath caught, the intensity of his promise spiraling through her, a chilling rush that ignited the very core of her being. Khalilah swallowed hard, her voice barely a whisper. But what if your protection comes with a cost? As if I'd let anything happen to you, he argued, the fierceness in his tone matched only by the warmth in his gaze. You stand for something beyond yourself, Khalilah. You deserve to fight for your dreams without looking over your shoulder. She regarded him, the way he stood, tall and unwavering, like a lighthouse amidst a raging storm. And what if your past catches up to us? She stepped forward, her instincts urging her closer to him, where safety felt like a working heartbeat. Ayo reached out, his fingers brushing against her arm, a gentle yet possessive touch. Then I'll face it, with you by my side. His voice lowered, swirling around them like the night breeze. No one is taking you from me. Khalilah's heart raced, a tumultuous symphony echoing in her chest, drowning out the hushed city sounds. You can't hold those like us to promises forged in chaos, she warned, her voice breaking under the weight of buried vulnerability. Maybe it's chaos that brought us here. Ayo's gaze intensified, making her pulse quicken. You need to trust me more than anyone else. This is bigger than both of us. Just as his words wrapped around her like a cloak, a sharp ringing sliced through the moment. Khalilah's phone buzzed violently in her pocket, a reminder of the world outside, of obligations calling. The moment fractured, but Ayo's hand closed around hers, grounding her. Don't answer, he demanded softly, his authority weaving through his tenderness. The urgency of her work felt absurdly insignificant now, overshadowed by the gravity of the moment and Ayo's unwavering grip. She thought of dashed plans, scribbled notes, the sleepless nights fueled by ambition. Yet, standing here, enveloped in the warmth of this man, those aspirations felt distant, replaced by a burning desire to embrace something greater than herself. Do you really mean it? She questioned, searching his eyes, willing herself to see the truth behind the shadow of his past. Every word, he confirmed, his tone steady and sincere. You will always be safe with me. I promise you that. Khalilah found herself leaning slightly into him, drawn by the intensity between them. Then let's forge this together, no matter how chaotic. A fire sparked in Ayo's expression, and in that moment, amidst city lights and whispers of promises, their bond solidified, the chaotic storm outside mirroring the tempest of emotions raging within them both. Together, he agreed, his voice resolute. And with that promise, she felt the walls in her heart begin to crack, the warmth of hope seeping in where fear once thrived. Scene 28, Hidden Passions. The golden hour bathed the loft in warm hues, casting elongated shadows on the polished wooden floor. Khalilah stood by the large window, peering out at the city below, the skyline speckled with lights that twinkled like stars in the dimming daylight. The air was caught between the crispness of the coming evening and the lingering warmth of the day, a perfect reflection of her tumultuous emotions. Each breath drew in the faint scent of fresh linen and sandalwood, another reminder of Ayo, his presence lingering in the soft fabric that draped across the couch. Ayo leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, his silhouette striking against the backdrop of the setting sun. The light played off his skin, a rich ebony that seemed to absorb every inch of warmth from the room. Khalilah turned slightly, her gaze meeting his, an unspoken tension thickening the air between them. You ever think about how much these city lights hide? She mused, breaking the silence. What do you mean? Ayo replied, pushing away from the door and stepping closer, the weight of his stride drawing her deeper into the moment. Everyone's out there, living their lives, hiding who they really are behind those lights. Khalilah folded her arms, a habit of shielding herself. I guess we all do that. It feels easier. It's not easy for everyone, he said, a hint of something deeper layering his tone, his eyes narrowing slightly as he studied her. Some of us have to keep secrets for a reason. She flinched at the veiled implication, thoughts darting back to the research she had gathered, the pieces of him she still had to unearth. You seem to know a lot about hiding. Is that what you want? To be in the shadows forever? His gaze softened, the hard edges of his persona melting away just a fraction. No, I'm not afraid of the light. I just have to protect what matters. People like you. Khalilah caught her breath, surprised by the tender urgency in his voice. What if I don't need protecting? She challenged, stepping closer until the space between them pulsed with an electric tension. Sweetheart, you're in over your head. This world isn't what it seems. But you can't always save me, she countered, tilting her chin defiantly, yet the spark of vulnerability flickered in her eyes. I need to save myself sometimes. Their breaths mingled, the air thick with possibilities. The warmth of Ayo's body radiated towards her, blurring the line between fighting and yearning. You don't have to do it alone, he murmured, his voice low, as he moved even closer, less than a hand's breadth separating them now. Khalilah's heart raced, a resonance echoing in her ears. Then tell me what you're really afraid of. Yes, what am I afraid of? He said, the ghost of a smile playing at the corners of his mouth, masking a deeper turmoil. Maybe it's that I don't know if I can keep you safe from everything, including me. In that heartbeat, vulnerability shadowed the bravado, shifting the dynamic in an instant. Khalilah could see the churning emotions beneath his composed exterior, a tempest of loyalty and fear. You don't have to hide from me, she whispered, searching his eyes. With a swift motion, he reached out, brushing his fingers against her cheek, the warmth of his touch igniting a flood of awareness that flooded Khalilah's senses. The world outside blurred into a haze, leaving only the electric connection shimmering between them. And what if I want to? He asked softly, his lips barely brushing past hers. Khalilah swayed closer, her breath hitching as she surrendered to the magnetic pull. Then maybe we're both hiding, she replied, the confession holding a weight she had long ignored. Perhaps, he said, their lips inches apart, the moment suspended in time, turning intoxicating with each heartbeat, a fierce longing stewing beneath their bravado. Before either could move closer, the sharp trill of her phone broke the spell. Khalilah scrambled backward, their moment shattered, a sudden rush of reality flooding back in. It's probably work, she said, though her voice lacked conviction. Ayo exhaled slowly, stepping back, the glimmer of fear returning to his shadows. Work has a way of interrupting, he replied, an edge to his voice laced with disappointment. Khalilah grimaced at the distraction, struggling to pull her focus back to the present. We'll talk later, Ayo finished, the unspoken promise hanging heavily in the air like the fading light. As she glanced at her phone, Khalilah felt the weight of what almost happened tumble away like autumn leaves scattered in a brisk wind. But beneath it all, she realized the fire within her, yearning for more than just work, more than just the safety of distance. Later, she echoed softly, but her heart whispered, soon. Scene 29, Crossroads. The air in Khalilah's small but elegant apartment brims with the spice of simmering coconut curry, a comforting aroma that juxtaposes the tension crackling between her and Ayo Kanala. Sunlight slices through the windows, casting long shadows across her meticulously arranged plants. Outside, the sounds of the city hum, a distant siren, laughter from children playing, the soft thrum of life continuing undeterred. But inside, it's different. I can't believe you let her in, Ayo said, his voice a low growl, his back pressed against the doorframe, arms crossed over his chest. The tension in his posture hangs like a taut wire ready to snap. Khalilah clenches her jaw as she stirs the curry, the spoon clinking softly against the pot. It's not what you think. It's just what? You didn't think I'd find out? His voice, usually smooth, now has an edge like shattered glass. She turns to face him, her dark hair catching the light, framing her face like a halo that struggles to hide her frustration. And I didn't think you would come storming in here like you own the place, she huffs, her heart pounding in her chest. You can't dictate who I invite or who I trust. Ayo's eyes narrow, a storm brewing underneath the surface, a tumultuous mix of anger and jealousy. I do own this place, Khalilah. You just never realized it. She scoffs, crossing her arms tightly. Own it? You think money makes you king? All I see is a man hiding behind walls. What's the real Ayo like beneath all that bravado? The words hang a daring challenge, but instead of the ire she expected, a flicker of surprise ignites in Ayo's dark eyes. They swirl with something deeper and more vulnerable. He steps closer, igniting the space between them with an electric hum. You aren't afraid to look, are you? Khalilah's breath catches. For a moment, the world outside blurs into insignificance. Ayo, she begins, but he cuts her off with a soft laugh, the kind that dances on the edge of sorrow. You think I'm just this tyrant, huh? A crime boss living in a castle of lies? He shakes his head, his voice lowered. What if I told you I didn't choose this life? that I'm just trying to protect someone. Her heart quickens at the sincerity lacing his words, a vulnerability that catches her off guard. Someone? She asks, stepping forward, the fragrance of curry mingling with the tension between them. Yeah, someone I can't afford to lose. His gaze pierces her, dark and intense. Doesn't it resonate with you? The idea of protecting what you love? She falters, the weight of his unguarded confession stirring a whirlpool of emotions. In my world, love comes with risks. Every choice feels monumental. You know that better than anyone, Ayo. Then why take chances with people who don't see you, truly see you? He softens, his tone coaxing as if teasing out the fears that gnaw at her. Khalilah's walls begin to crumble, a vulnerable laugh escaping her lips. Should I take advice from the biggest risk-taker of them all? Only if you want to survive. A challenge lingers in his gaze, but there's warmth threading through it now. You don't have to fight this alone. I could help you navigate the chaos, if you let me. Her heart twists at the offer. There's chaos. She hesitates, glancing out the window as if searching for clarity. But there's also passion, Ayo. Passion that could bite us both if we're not careful. A laugh bursts from him, ringing through the air like wind chimes, cutting the tension. This is all very dramatic. Should I save you from your career choices too? Please do, she shot back, but smiled, feigning exasperation, yet feeling her heart soften. You may be my only hope against my impending career ruin. Their laughter dances through the kitchen, intertwining with the scent of spice, bringing a sense of warmth. In that moment, the shadows between them dazzle with light. Perhaps we don't need to save each other. Maybe we could just choose to meet at the crossroads and figure it out together, he suggested, his voice steady. Khalilah's heart races as she takes a step closer, feeling the pull between them. Together? More than just a meal, he wrote fiercely, his gaze unwavering. This is about everything that could be. And as their eyes lock, the weight of decisions heavy around them, she knows she's at a crossroads, not just in her life, but in her heart. Then let's not waste this moment. Scene 30, decisions made. The soft hum of the city vibrated through Raye's downtown loft, a gentle current against the silence swirling around her and Ayo Kanala. The sun dipped low, casting golden slants of light across the hardwood floor and illuminating the tension in the air. Ayo leaned against the counter in the kitchen, arms crossed, his brow furrowing slightly as he studied her with those deep, magnetic eyes of his. And why exactly should I trust you now? Ayo asked, his voice a low rumble that paired beautifully with the warmth of the fading sunlight. Khalilah felt the weight of his gaze, electrifying. She pressed her lips together as if to seal her thoughts before gathering courage. Because I'm done being afraid, she replied, her voice strong yet laced with uncertainty. I want this. It's not just curiosity or a career move. I want you. The silence that followed was thick and pregnant, wrapping around them like an embrace. Ayo straightened, pushing off the counter, his muscles flexing under the fitted fabric of his shirt. He stepped closer, the scent of sandalwood invading her senses, his presence enveloping her in an alluring yet intimidating way. Wanting doesn't come without risks, Khalilah. You know that, he murmured, the corner of his mouth twitching up as if dismissing her bold declaration with a hint of playful skepticism. I've lived in the safety of my plans for too long, Khalilah shot back, taking a brave step forward. You think I'm afraid of the consequences? The way you get things done, against every safe choice I ever made? She paused, feeling a rush of exhilaration collide with her racing heart. I'm not saying I'd trade my life for yours, but I need more than this hollow success. Her hands trembled slightly at her sides as she glanced down. This hollow life. Ayo's expression softened, and she saw a flicker of understanding spark in his gaze. You think I'm the remedy for that? Perhaps, Khalilah replied, a faint smile breaking her serious demeanor. But you're definitely a distraction from it. Ayo chuckled softly, the sound a rich baritone that filled the room, the tension shifting just a bit. Is it a distraction you really want, or just a way to add chaos to your neatly lined-up existence? He took another step closer, their breaths mingling in the charged space between them. Isn't that the real question? She searched his face for the answer, willing her voice not to shake as adrenaline surged through her veins. Maybe I'm done playing it safe. Maybe I want to dive into chaos with you." The air thickened with emotions unsaid, palpable and electric. Ayo studied her, spine straight, that familiar quintessential edge, making him seem even taller, more imposing. Yet, there was something undeniably tender in his constant gaze, like the slow burn of a flame, mesmerizing and dangerous all at once. Silence stretched between them, and suddenly he stepped back, folding his arms across his chest again, an almost childlike uncertainty creeping in. "Khalilah, you're talking about forever. People like us don't do forever." "Maybe we should." She took a careful step forward, emboldened, eyes locked onto his. "Maybe we redefine what forever means." "Redefine?" Io scoffed lightly, but the sparkle in his dark eyes betrayed him. "Aren't we the epitome of what a mess?" "Mess can be fun," she shot back, her playful spirit rising, fully aware of the gravity beneath their banter. "You should know that. Just look at how we met." He smirked then, his expression softening. "You were terrified and I was, well, me. And look where that got us." She raised an eyebrow, a playful challenge igniting between them. "In a swanky apartment, debating life choices instead of what? Running from my enemies?" His smirk faded, replaced by a hint of seriousness. "You can't just jump into this. The stakes are high. Higher than I've ever faced, and I'm still standing here, Ayo," Khalilah insisted, stepping even closer until the warmth of his body was almost overpowering. "You have darkness, I get it, but you're also light. You saved me from everything that was holding me back. Don't underestimate how much that means." With a heartbeat throbbing in the silence, Ayo's expression flickered between caution and something deeper, something warmer. "You really believe we can do this?" "I believe in us," she whispered, her heart pounding so loud she could barely hear their surroundings. "So what's it going to be?" Ayo looked deeply into her eyes, and for a moment, the world outside the loft faded away. In that instant, the possibilities felt endless, tangled threads of ambition, desire, and mutual understanding wrapping them both into a promise neither fully grasped but instinctively longed to explore. "Then let's take it from here," he said finally, voice low. "But understand, it begins with the truth." He paused, the tension shifting again. "And I have secrets, but they won't keep me from you." Khalilah swallowed, her pulse racing as a smile broke across her face, the weight of what lay ahead lighting a fire beneath her skin. Ayo Kanala, let's redefine everything. Scene 31, stormy weather. The day darkened suddenly. Clouds heaped up like a wall of sorrow. Khalilah Raye stood at the window of her office, watching the storm unfold outside. Patterns of rain slid down the glass, blurring the view of the bustling street below. Her heart raced, mirroring the chaotic weather outside. She was a woman torn between ambition and vulnerability, standing at a crossroads she hadn't anticipated. "Ayo," she whispered to herself, feeling the weight of the name on her tongue, the tension brewing inside her. It was all so complicated now. With each rumble of thunder, memories of their last encounter filled her mind, of tears, of truth hidden behind fierce gazes, and that electric connection that sparked between them in the most unremarkable of places. The storm felt inevitable, much like the feelings raging within her soul. Suddenly, a loud knock on the door broke her reverie. It swung open, revealing Ayo Kanala, tall and imposing, yet strikingly beautiful, even drenched by the rain. The storm clung to him like a second skin, droplets tracing down his chiseled cheekbones. He looked as if he carried the entire world on his shoulders, yet remained relentless, an unsettling energy radiating from him. "Khalilah," he said, his voice deep and commanding, a marked contrast to the furious storm outside. "We need to talk." "Oh, do we?" Khalilah replied, crossing her arms defensively. She was too emotionally raw to cower now. "About what? Your penchant for secretive businesses? Or perhaps the fact that you keep saving me one breath at a time?" "It's not like that." Ayo stepped forward, the floor creaking slightly under his weight. There was a tension on the verge of snapping between them. "I'm not trying to orchestrate your life, but right now you're in danger. You need to understand that." Khalilah scoffed, her thumb absent-mindedly tracing the paperweight on her desk. "Danger? Or is it just another misguided attempt to play the hero? You're a crime boss, Ayo. You don't just drop in like a knight in shining armor, whatever that means for you." "I get it," Ayo shot back, frustration edging his voice, but he softened. "You think I'm just another villain. just because it's easier to believe that than to admit there's more to me. There's more to this, to us, Khalilah. More? Her pulse quickened, the anger giving way to unfamiliar desperation. What if I don't want to know the more of you? You thrive in shadows. I'm reaching for the light, Ayo. He stepped closer, the space between them charged. You might think you want the light, but you'll find it's often in the eyes of those who lurk in the dark. His gaze held hers, an invitation to plunge into the depths of uncertainty. You think I wouldn't understand? Khalilah challenged, raising an eyebrow. I lived in darkness before, Ayo. It's gripping and seductive, but it's not where I want to stay. And neither should you. That's where you're wrong, he countered, the edge of his resolve cracking.